see some athletes starting to really push quite hard at the front. There's a 30-meter run-in until the first of 3 long laps of 19,020 meters. Already the Romanians showing very strongly at the moment. You can also see the red vest suppliers de Castellón. So this long twisting circuit right by the sea. This is the 250-meter sandy stretch across the beach. And this early pace has meant that this field has already strung out.
Local team, Playas de Castelló, is a very, very strong team with the national under-20 champion, Maya Becker, together with Monica Lizano, international 800-meter runner, Marta Picas.
Quite a mix of clubs in the leading pack there. The Playas de Castellón, looking as though they've got 3 women in the leading group. Twist and turning, got a bit of pathway there, that helps them back onto the grass course. See up there, athletes as well from Sporting Club de Portugal. Fenerbahce up there as well at this early stage of the race. Well, just over a kilometre. Just under a kilometre, I should say, just coming up to the kilometre mark. So they're about halfway round the first of 3 circuits in Oropesa del Mar. On this occasion it's going to be very dry underfoot, very quick. So the track specialists have an advantage here compared to perhaps the Northern Europeans, like the Belgians, who are more used to very heavy, muddy surfaces. Interesting overhead shot, showing you as the runners as they navigate the parkland just off to one side of the beach. So still a group leading at the front. About 8 women who've managed to separate themselves from the rest. These little steeplechase barriers just to provide a little bit of a testing circuit and break up their rhythm a little bit. Just wonder later in the race if that is going to be a little bit tricky. Certainly a few of those women finding that slight incline up that sandy slope quite difficult. So at this stage it's the Fenerbahce athlete leading. Bencart of Pliers de Castillon, then two of the Auvergne team up there. Pliers de Castillon having two in the top 5 at the moment, but Fenerbahce have got 3 in that group as well. So it's looking as though the team battle is going to be between Pliers de Castillon, Auvergne and so it is Fanny Sapet up there with Adiba Yagiz, Bencart in the green vest of Pliers de Castillon. Said they were in the red vest earlier. That was a mistake on my part, I'm afraid. The Romanians at the moment packing very well as well. They're 3 runners, all 3 of those women from last year who finished in the top 10. They're up there once again. So now as we embark on the second lap, just over 6 minutes for that first lap. Also includes that 30-meter run-in. So now it's Bencart challenging Yagiz at the front. It's Sapet and Dagier, the 2 French women as well, who finished in the top 10 last year, up there in places 4 and 5 at the moment. So Yagiz, the Turkish runner from Fenerbahce, the famous multi-sport club, famous for its football team as well. She finished 8th in Turin at the last European Cross-Country Championships in December, so very useful runner indeed in this age group. We'll know 1 or 2 of the other runners. She's still only 17 years of age, so assuming Fenerbahce do want to qualify to come back next year, she's got another 2 years in this rank. She only turned 17 last month. Bencart of Pliers de Castillon also up there as well, challenging. Pliers de Castillon, though, struggling for support at the moment. Be out of the medals as far as the teams are concerned, and this is very much a team competition. Sapet's up there. And Dagier as well. The slightly shorter of the 2 French women. So it's now really down to 3 women. Sapet's starting to drift back a little bit in 5th place at the moment. Looks like one of the Romanians trying to get up with the leading pack. It's a nice shot going down the field. So up the front, It's Yagiz of Fenerbahce, Benkert of Playas de Castellón, just holding on. Dager, third last year, third in this race at the moment, but she's a very experienced runner age group. She's competed for France on several occasions, so she knows what elite competition's like. 3.5 kilometers completed at this stage. Now Benkert trying to get up on the shoulder of Yagiz. Dager just biding her time. She looks very confident and comfortable behind the leading pair, just on the shoulder. Hasn't really made much of the running this stage. Turk in front, the 17-year-old Adina Yagiz looks very good indeed at this stage. Now Benkert starting to pull away. Now this is a surprise. Benkert, very useful runner, but she's decided to make her move with about 2 kilometers from, just under 2 kilometers indeed, just giving it a go at this stage. She's really starting to oppose authority. Well, you can just imagine that Benkert's got family and friends dotted around the course. She's really managed to put daylight between herself and Yagiz and Dager in a very short space of time. It's only taken 200 or 300 meters. So there we see Marion Benkert, Adiba Yagiz, and Margot Dager. That's the 1, 2, and 3. Then the Romanians, Hudea and Blaga. Marganin, who finished 5th last year, drifting back a little bit in 7th at the moment. Annie Sapet. This is starting to look as though it's going to be a battle royal between Auvergnat, Mika Roma, and also Playas de Castellón for the team title. It's of course the focus of attention of the European Champion Clubs Cup cross country. It's an event that goes back all the way back to 1962. Women started racing in this competition in 1982 and junior races were added in 2006. Well, Marion Benkert really powering away now, looking very strong indeed. Doesn't look like Yagiz and Dager are going to be in much of a position to be able to challenge her. She's still got around 1,700 meters to go though. That's just over 4 laps of the track. That's possibly what they're thinking as well. And just looking behind. She's a very strong athlete. Not perhaps the tidiest of running styles. She's doing a very effective job of really pulling away from the 2 women behind her. And Yagiz, well, Yagiz, very good runner indeed. 8th, just missing out on the medals, and I'm sure she'll return on several occasions to the European cross-country championships. Dager starting to look as though she's struggling just a little bit. There's a bit of daylight between Yagiz and Dager in 2nd and 3rd places, and the Romanians now starting to close as well on the women in 2nd and 3rd place. So Hudea and Blaga getting back into contention maybe for individual honours, but looking at this stage, it does look as though Mika Roma might well be in a very good position to defend their title. But it's Marion Benkert at the moment who's striding away to individual victory. There's never been a Spaniard who's won the under-20 women's race. So she's on course for a little bit of history. Flyers de Castillon 4th last year. Look as though she's not getting much support from her teammates. It looks as though Flyers might be out of the medals. It looks as though she's well on her way to getting a place on the podium. Just needs to focus now. Probably about a kilometre left to go. She's looking very closed at this stage. Starting to look just a little bit tired, but the women behind her perhaps struggling even more. Once again, another glance over her shoulder though. It's difficult to assess the gap, and it's looking as though it might be about 10 to 12 seconds now. Roughly about 70 meters. There you can see some of the other women coming into shot, very tired with that challenging beach section of this circuit. So I wouldn't fancy having to run 200 meters over that. And it's Marianne Benkert now, really on her way home. I'm sure there's going to be big cheers. Start and finish lines almost adjacent. Absolutely terrific race from Benkert. This will be certainly the biggest race of her life. She's never competed in a major championship before, but she really impressed recently with some of her indoor running. Around 9:48 for 3,000 meters indoors recently in Madrid, and that's a very good time in the under-20 age groups. She's still ploughing away. So just a few hundred meters away from the finish line. On this open course, you'll be able to see it. She'll be able to assess how far away she is. You can see now the big distance. Yagi is just coming round. Yagi now has managed to pull away from Dager, second and third at the moment in camera shot. I make it about a 15-second difference, about an 80-meter gap between Benkert, Flyers de Castillon, and Yagis of Fenerbahce. But the Romanians, Mika Roma, have got 3 men. Go to Mika Roma. Individual accolades to this young Spanish woman, Marianne Benkert.